Alright, guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me all right? I think you can hear me this time. Let me see now. Yeah, I'd like to talk about GB News. It's 14th of February 24. I want to talk about GB News. They had, it's Valentine's Day 2024, and they had a couple of, it was on Martin Dobney's show and the show before, which is, both of them are excellent shows. Martin Dobney's is better. I mean, the best in GB News are, for me, a few weeks ago, it used to be Patrick Christie's, then Martin Dobney, then these two at lunchtime. What's his name? The two young posh people, male and female, Emily Carver and the other guy. And yeah, but yeah, it was good today because I'm talking about this. I watch it on YouTube and I only watch bits and I skim a lot of it and I go at 2 times speed, stuff like that. So I just got a bit of it from today. And it was really good today because they had some lefty guests on. I mean, to me, not guests as in come in the studio and they sit down, because I'm not interested in the people really. Just people who are supposed to have some sort of a specific interest in the story they're doing. And all I'm interested in really is English and what's happening in Israel, Palestine at the moment, and Ukraine. That's the three things. But the only existential one is English. I'm using a funny way of saying that word because I don't think it's allowed. Even we don't live in a free speech country, even though we're heading for our own anarchy. We're heading for a Mad Max world in the West because of in Britain's case because of the last 75 years of an unasked experiment. But anyway, these three guests, they had Chris Williamson on. He was on the two young posh people show. Emily Carver and the guy, I can't remember his name. So that's really good to see because I watch his thing on YouTube, Resistance TV, and I think they make, well, basically on Palestine and Israel, basically, I think it's much nearer the truth. I mean, with Israel, we've got a new closed door situation in the West. Not just that, but we're also terrified to talk about it because of what might happen. So, I mean, we were biased, 100% biased. Then under Jeremy Corbyn, it went down to about 95% biased. But then it was a big hoo-ha by the media and politicians, and it went back up to 98% again, or whatever. Anyway, Chris Williams, he's always interesting to hear on Palestine and Israel. Then later on, Martin Dobney had a lady from Jewish Voice of Labour who I know. I've seen her on YouTube. I think usually on not the Andrew Marr Show, which is an excellent YouTube channel. I mean, I'm not a lefty. I've got, probably I'm sort of progressive, but now we've got this crisis emergency thing, existential thing going on because the unasked experiment is going to change the West forever, Britain forever. Nothing else matters, so it doesn't matter if being left or whatever. But I've always found the left a bit silly, but I've never really wanted to be Tory or Lib Dem or whatever. In normal times, maybe Lib Dems are very nearest, but no, not really. Personally, I think we need to vote on issues and not in parties. So we need an electoral system like Switzerland where they have quarterly referendums on single issues, you know. So anyway, Martin Dobney had this Jewish Voice of Labour. I don't know if he didn't realise who it would be, but she's an older lady. I think she used to be maybe a Labour councillor or something, but she got kicked out of the party anyway. She's always on Not the Andrew Marr Show. She's probably been on John's Show, which is another YouTube channel definitely worth watching, I think. Not because of when they talk about progressive things, when they talk about things like Israel and that, it's probably closer to truth. So to see these two on GB News, I thought was excellent because usually when they get left people on, it's run of the mill left people, maybe former Labour MPs or turning very angry ex-union guy who became a Labour Brown's advisor or something, John McTiernan or something. It's just waste of time, really. Uh, but when you're bringing in people like Chris Williamson and voices from Jewish Voice of Labour, I think you're bringing in, because usually they're bringing in trolls quite a lot, but with these two, you're bringing in good, what I think are King's New Close situations on on that issue anyway, and definitely voices that need to be heard. A lot of voices don't need to be heard, like Tucker Carlson or that crazy guy in America who got banned and is now back on Twitter or whatever. No, not conspiracy people. It's not even Russell Brand or anything like that. But these sort of people, definitely on Palestine and Israel, are definitely voices worth hearing. Um, and then the other good guest today was a guy called Russell Quirk. He wasn't a lefty, he was a property expert. And he was just explaining how the government have issued that they're going to rent 16,000 houses or something for migrants whose claims are still to be, well, approved really in about 65% of the cases. And then the others that aren't approved, they just stay anyway and they still get their house anyway. So this is Rishi's way of stopping them going into first class hotels. Instead of being in first class hotels, they're going to have their own free house. And that's why they come anyway, because I've seen it myself on YouTube, of the newcomers showing their house on YouTube. And anyway, so Russell Quirk, everything he said I agreed with. He's not lefty or anything, he was just saying it as it is. So that's definitely worth looking out for. But it's really good that GB News are doing this because usually you're meant to have two sides of the argument. Personally, I would just have one side of the argument. But if you're going to have two sides of the argument, it's not got to be these either trolls like that. What's that guy on a Saturday night with the guy with the glasses on GB News? He's just a troll. He's a waste of time. Benjamin Butterworth or whatever. It's not even of any interest. If you are going to have opposing voices, they've got to be people who I think might be showing you a King's New Close of the situation. It's not got to be people that are just, even George Galloway's a waste of time, really, very much. It's just a useful idiot, really. I mean, someday his support are going to dump him completely. I'm talking about the support he's found in the latter years. They're going to say, we don't need you anymore. We want someone we identify with more. I think that sort of happened in the East London forum when he was an MP or whatever. I don't know. He mentioned it in not the Andrew Marshall or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, so it's good that GB News are bringing these people on. I don't know whether they're making a mistake and whoever arranged it will get fired or whether they're going for these people. But it's really good. From their point of view, they probably think that they're showing that they're crazy. But that's not anyway. Because to young Welsh people, Tom Harwood and Emily Carver, they were really trashing Chris Williamson. But because even that's sort of October 7th thing, I think registered. There's only one baby registered killed from that day, um, and so that doesn't seem to fit that story. But Emily brought that story up as if it was the truth. So in Britain, we're not allowed to think of these things. And looking at Electronic Intifada is another YouTube channel, definitely. I mean, and I say this as someone who's who's not interested in Labour and all that, or not interested in Tories even, or any party. I find them all useless, as I say. But yeah, we still don't know who killed who on that day. Yeah, because a lot of it looks as if it might be sort. I think electronic intifadas, said it might be thingy missiles, but we're not even allowed to speak of it in Britain or find out. We've just got to stick with what the story says. And Biden even said, "I've seen pictures or something." I don't think he did see pictures actually of what the story was. So Biden, I don't know. I get the feeling he's going to get kicked out, for mentally ill. It really looks as if there's something wrong with him. He was talking about Egypt the other day, and he said the Mexican president, Sisi, who's the Egyptian thing. I don't know. Definitely needs to go. I mean, I think the Dems should go for Michelle Obama, but I mean, I don't agree with. I think she's a good, charismatic character. I don't agree with what her opinion would be on the existential issue in America, which is going on all over the West. She's probably wanting to head for anarchy as well. So, but it was really good that GB News had. I mean, I watch Anne-Marie Waters' YouTube channel as well. I think she's on a Tuesday, and uh, she was saying that she was invited on to GB News by Nana Akua, but then like, she wasn't invited, and I don't know if someone further up vetoed it or whatever. Maybe Nana didn't know who she was or whatever, because she's going to run to be the leader of the UKIP, who I would vote for as a protest vote on the existential issue or the anti-anarchy party, because all the other parties, Tories, Labour, all that, are all SNP. They're all ultra pro anarchy parties in the near future. Mad Max parties, Greens, etc. So they really had Emery Waters on. That would have been good. You really need to hear these voices because they're not. Um, they're not just conspiracy stuff. They're not, or any conspiracy. They're personally, I think it's the crazy ones on this issue are the Tories, Labour, Greens, Lib Dems, because it's obviously the country's going to deteriorate really quickly. And we've got to think of what made Britain great, what made the West great, and how many of those people are going to be, what percent of those people going to be, they're going to be minority in all these countries. Why did the people come here? Were they being racist when they chose the countries because they don't want to live in their own homelands, even though they're beautiful and warm. I mean, the only reason people should be moving about the world is for beautiful, warm countries, because they should be beautiful countries to live in, society-wise. But the people from there don't seem to feel that way. So, GB News. It's the only channel I watch now, the only news channel. Thank goodness for GB News. People are saying it's sort of the Reform Party channel now, but I don't agree with that. If they keep having people like this on, like Chris Williamson and the Jewish Voice from Labour Lady and Russell Quirk was fantastic. I don't agree with that totally. The ones that are a bit of disappointment is Jacob Rees-Mogg, and that's another thing I meant to say. Like Jacob Rees-Mogg said on Nigel Farage's show, I think it was last time to Nigel, and he was going, and the Tories really made him a mess of legal migration or whatever. Jacob Rees-Mogg, I need to point out that was under Boris that these things happened, because it was Boris that opened the borders to the non-EU place, and he set the bar low. so it's Boris's fault. And he said, "My good friend Boris." So he felt he had to say that because it's the truth. And he was saying, over the last 2 years, we've had 1.4 million come in. That's net, by the way. We've actually had about 2.2 million gross, more than that, I think, but 2.5 million gross, not from the EU, from other parts of the world. And that's how Britain's changed under Boris Johnson. So he should be remembered for that. So well done to Jacob Eastmark for saying it, because I find him a bit boring, but he seems to be getting more and more into the legal and illegal immigration thing, which is good because it's the King's News Close thing, because we're heading for, in my opinion, we're heading for anarchy and Mad Max. So do you want that, or do you want to vote for that, and maybe for, well, the country still function and maybe get 1% off your tax, you know? So yeah, so GB News, keep it up. I'm really glad. They seem to be a success. People are saying that they're not doing well in financially. I don't know, but as a news channel, it's fantastic for me. All right, goodbye.